Are you a weak little man? Do you want to serve the Emperor and mankind? Then join the Space Marines. To become a Space Marine, we'll inject you with and then you'll become twice the size of a regular human. And then we'll send you to fight off literal demons. Yes, hell is real.
Side effects may include possession, chaotic thoughts, heresy, hearing the demons in your sleep, brain malfunction, and becoming sterile. Contact your chaplain if you experience any of these side effects.
So become a Space Marine today.
This, that, quarter life, crisis over borderline, trauma that control my life, more than I control my life, damn near mortified, I just got demoralized, I don't know my purpose, so I might as well enjoy the ride, yeah.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I've heard of Warhammer, but I never played a Warhammer game before in my life. And boy, am I glad I finally did, because this game has made me so happy this last month. Let me explain. Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2, which I will call Space Marine 2 from now on, is the sequel to Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine, a game that is now 13 years old. Some of you watching weren't even alive when this game came out. Dope. And in order to understand the game's story, you will need to know a lot more about Warhammer and the other Space Marine game. So I will quickly summarize the events leading up to the game. I will 100% be missing tons of detail. So in the description, I will link videos that are longer and way more in depth about the Warhammer series if you're interested. But here is the TLDR short version. So in the first game, you play as Captain Titus, a super marine, which is essentially a huge super soldier. Seriously, compare yourself to any little regular human, yeah, you're big. Titus is sent on a mission to the planet Graia to keep this mech called Invictus and other strong weaponry out of the hands of the Orcs, led by Grimskull. Titus leads a team with two other Space Marines, Leandros and Sidonis. Leandros this whole game has no chill and doesn't trust Titus, and he thinks he'll commit heresy or something. Later, Titus meets Inquisitor Drogon, who is a little sus, but he does help Titus fire a weapon called the Psychic Scourge to beat the Orcs once and for all. But when Titus activates it, it actually creates a chaos portal to hell. Yes, hell exists in this world, releasing demons and their leader, Lord Nemeroth. Turns out Drogon had been dead the whole time and was possessed by Nemeroth to trick Titus into opening the portal. So now Titus has to fight demons and eventually close the portal again. But unfortunately, Sidonis is killed by Nemeroth. After Titus smashes Nemeroth's head in, you finally successfully save Graia. But technically his methods weren't perfectly up to code, and Leandros, being the snitch that he is, tattletales on Titus. So now Titus is demoted to lieutenant and put into cryosleep for years until eventually Titus was allowed to join the Death Watch, who are super elite Marines that don't have a team anymore. A kind of Suicide Squad, but way cooler. What are we, some type of Suicide Squad? And that's where Space Marine 2 begins, with Titus in the Death Watch for the tutorial, which technically takes place 200 years later. Yeah, 200 years. Space Marines can live a long time, okay? I'm obviously missing a lot of detail, but the last thing you need to know is that you serve an Emperor who looks like this, and everyone is obsessed with this dude.
For the Emperor! For the Emperor!
Wait, that's not what the Emperor looks like anymore? He looks like this? And he feeds on souls to survive? Are we the bad guys? Everything in the world is super religious in theme, with words like heretic being thrown around all the time, and computers being activated by, I kid you not, praying.
Access rights granted. Establishing locus.
And there's also other enemy aliens throughout the galaxy. Everything is dark and scary, and it's a world I wouldn't want to live in. So now in Space Marine 2, you play as Titus again, as he is recommissioned and upgraded by the Chaplain, who is my favorite design character because he looks so awesome. And you're in charge of the team of Marines again. These Marines are Gadriel and Chiron, but all the homies call him Charon. Let's go. And you're tasked with killing Terminid aliens and uncovering their plans so you can save the universe again. And maybe earn your honor back or something. That's like important to Titus. And just like the first game, your teammate, Gadriel, is sus of you and doesn't trust you and calls you a heretic, which would be totally avoidable if they just talked. But Titus really acts sus all the time, so I don't even blame Gadriel. Titus, just talk to your dude. And that's the main idea in a nutshell. I don't want to spoil the campaign, just know that it is super fun, and twice as fun with friends who will join in as either Gadriel or Charon. But even if you have no friends, the NPCs are very good and helpful, and they'll pretty consistently save your life when you're downed. The campaign itself will only take about 10 hours to complete, and the combat is really cool with unique weaponry and unique abilities, like jetpacks. And there's also a ton of unique enemies, including plenty of bosses. So if you like bosses, this is the game for you, because there's a lot of them. So now let's talk about This game is a third-person shooter, but you're also armed with melee weapons, either a combat knife, a sword, a hammer, or the iconic chainsaw blade. The game rewards you for parrying attacks and dodging others. And once an enemy is weak enough, you can execute them. And there's over 50 different executions, so it really never gets old. Executions immediately charge your shields, so they are an important part of the combat, while also looking super badass while doing it. Oh my god, that was so crazy. If you get downed, you can be revived, but if you get downed too many times, you'll get a mortal wound. And then if you get downed again after that, it's just over. So use your health stims, they're there for a reason. And like I said before, there's a ton of different weapons, from rifles to snipers to fireball shotguns, and each have their different uses. And also, each Space Marine has their own ultimate ability. I guess it's not an ultimate ability because it's the only ability you have, but kind of feels like an ultimate, you know? If you're playing as Titus, you'll rage and gain all your health while doing more damage. If you're playing as Gadriel, you'll just scream like a whiny little bitch, which is all he does during the campaign, so I guess that's fair.
Your behavior has been erratic. You force your way into classified files. You tell us nothing. Gadriel, we deserve to know who is leading us.
And if you're playing as Chiron, then you're lucky because you have 2 other friends willing to play the campaign with you. Once you complete the campaign, you can try it on harder difficulties, or even play extra operations, which are like campaign missions, but people can randomly join you online, and you're not Titus or his crew, and instead your own unique Marine. Which brings us to the... So the PvP is 6 versus 6. You're either the good Space Marines or the bad Space Marines. And the bad ones look way cooler than the good ones. Like the good ones, they're just like basic blue. The bad guys have all this color variation by default. It's kind of nice. You have a choice of either Team Deathmatch, Domination, or King of the Hill. And you will also have classes with different weapons, different health amounts, and different abilities. The classes are Tactical. They have an ability to scan. Assault. They have a jetpack, but no primary weapon. But who needs it? You got a jetpack. Vanguard, they have a grappling hook, which you can use to get to height or grapple onto enemies. Bulwark, they have a shield, and they can also put down a flag and heal the whole team. Sniper, they can go invisible, and they also have a sniper. And Heavy, they have the biggest weapons and a bubble shield. As you play and you get kills and wins, you'll upgrade your weapons and your classes, and can customize everything from head to toe, including the weapons. And you'll unlock new weapons for each class by leveling up as well. It's very similar to Call of Duty's creator class. Okay, so that's Space Marine 2 in a huge nutshell. But now we must review it with the campaign is so cool. The story, while a little overcomplicated, is not that hard to follow, even without knowing anything about Warhammer at all. The gameplay itself is satisfying and feels very good, especially the parrying mechanics and the melee, which is the highlight of the whole game. Meleeing things to death was perfect. This game reminds me of a classic FPS campaign like Gears of War or Halo in its prime. And I think anyone who is old, like me, will find this game almost nostalgic and like a breath of fresh air. The game also just looks incredible. The different locations and biomes you find yourself in are just full of life and color. The entire gothic religious steampunk vibe is so out there, but it just works so well, leading to some insanely cool set designs and also amazing character designs. The set pieces for the campaign are also super cinematic. Seriously, I haven't felt this way about an FPS campaign since Halo 3. And the voice acting is top notch. And they even add a little extra sound mixing for when you turn on and off your helmets, which is an option, by the way. The PvP works surprisingly well. In the campaign, you feel like this overpowered super soldier, so I had no idea how they were going to translate that to PvP, but it feels relatively balanced. The time to kill is not that long, and the gunplay does feel good, with every class being distinct enough to differentiate mid-battle. The different classes all have something broken about them, so it can feel super satisfying to make big epic plays and win. My favorite classes so far were the Assault and the Sniper classes. The Assault let me just fly up and slam enemies, slicing and dicing them in half if they don't expect me. Seriously, the melee feels just as good in PvP as it does in the campaign. The sniper class, on the other hand, was like the exact opposite, where I was camping and picking off enemies from afar, or just going invisible to run away or flank. I went on huge killing sprees, which felt so nice in this game. The customization is also so classic. I like their approach. While yes, you can buy a $110 version of this game to get extra cosmetics, everything else is unlockable by playing the operations, campaign, or PvP. And there's so many options, so people end up looking drippy as hell. This game's servers are pretty bad. I crashed a ton in the PvP, and my friends and I would crash playing the campaign. In the PvP modes, the announcer voice gets annoying really fast, especially on the King of the Hill game mode.
Imperial Nazis assault our territory! Imperial Nazis assault our territory! Imperial Nazis assault our territory!
Shut up! Also, for some reason, there's no crossplay for PvP. I played through the whole campaign with my boy Devin. Go follow his Twitch. And then after saving the galaxy, we were ready to play the PvP together. But no, it's not allowed. They claim it would be unfair, but if it's because of too much aim assist or the fear that mouse and keyboard players would dominate or something along those lines, then this should be an opt-in type of thing, right? My friends are down to go into PC lobbies, and I'm down to go into console lobbies. I don't know which lobby would be stronger, but the point is, if we play with others who opt in, it wouldn't really be an issue. But not having the option at all is ludicrous, especially in 2024. I would understand it not being allowed in ranked, but there really isn't a ranked feature anyways. This is really something they should consider because it's the only reason I don't play the PvP mode more, because all my homies that have this game are on PS5. It's just lonely out here, okay? The game is also $60. This isn't really a con, but I can acknowledge that in this free-to-play world and with the economy being rough these days, that it can be a con for those on a budget. But trust me, if you want an insanely good campaign with solid multiplayer, it is worth it. As I said before, Space Marine 2 is my introduction to the Warhammer universe, and it was a damn good one at that. Henry Cavill, you were right. Warhammer is awesome. And Henry, you should play Titus in a show or movie or whatever you're working on. It's a solid story with great gameplay and visuals that really make you feel like a super soldier. So now let's review this game for the Emperor. I'll be giving Space Marine 2 a 9 out of 10. I think anyone who loves classic campaigns will want to give this game a try. But I totally understand if you want to wait until it's like $40 or cheaper. I get it. It's hard these days. But what do you think? Have you played Space Marine 2? And if so, what would you rate it? And also, what's your favorite class in the PvP or your favorite character in the campaign? Let me know in the comments down below. Okay guys, I gotta go get my Space Marine injections, so I'll catch you later. Ya noob!